Summoning demons goes viral. This is Skywatch TV News, May 26th, 2015. I'm Derek Gilbert. It's a new internet fad. Two pencils balanced on a piece of paper with the words yes and no written in the four quadrants, based on the Ouija board concept. You ask questions and they are supposedly answered by a demon named Charlie. How popular is it? Some 2 million people have used the Twitter hashtag CharlieCharlieChallenge since Saturday. Now, on a similar note, an electrical engineer believes he's invented a device that's allowed him to communicate with his dead daughter. Gary Galka's 17-year-old daughter, Melissa, was tragically killed in a car wreck in 2004. His family, he says, noticed paranormal activity in their home beginning just a few days later. He drew on his experience as an engineer and developed an electromagnetic sensor he calls the MEL meter, which he markets to paranormal investigators. Another device that he developed, he says, has allowed him to record what he says is Melissa saying, "Hi, Daddy, I love you." Now, we don't discount the possibility that God can allow or send messages through our departed loved ones, but his word is very clear concerning necromancy, the practice of reaching out to communicate with the dead. Don't do it. First, it opens one to the spirit realm, which we as humans are not prepared to deal with. Secondly, it's calling on a spirit other than the Holy Spirit for information. See Leviticus 20, verse 27, or Deuteronomy 18, verses 10 through 12, which read, "There shall not be found among you anyone who burns his son or his daughter as an offering, anyone who practices divination or tells fortunes or interprets omens, or a sorcerer or a charmer or a medium or a necromancer, or one who inquires of the dead. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord." Did you catch that? Necromancy, in God's eyes, equivalent to sacrificing one's child and burning it alive as a sacrifice to a false god. Meditation can be bad for your health. Now, we're not talking about meditating on the word of the Lord, but transcendental meditation or mindfulness. A new book claims it can cause panic, depression, and confusion. A recent study here in the U.S. found that 60% of people who attended a meditation retreat suffered negative side effects, and about 7% suffered what the authors of the study called profoundly adverse side effects. Now, as Christians, we understand this. It's evidence that any practice intended to empty your mind also opens it to the spirit realm. Again, bad idea. So whether you call it transcendental meditation, mindfulness, contemplative prayer, or yoga, even Christian yoga, it's forbidden by God and about as safe as allowing small children to play with power tools. In the world of geopolitics, a Pentagon report predicted the rise of the Islamic State nearly 3 years ago. Now, last week we talked about a document obtained by the conservative law firm Judicial Watch, which showed that Western governments, the United States, NATO, Turkey, and some Gulf states such as Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and so forth, deliberately supported al-Qaeda and the Muslim Brotherhood in order to topple the Syrian government of Bashar al-Assad. In fact, the United States was running weapons from Libya in 2012 to the Syrian rebels, and that's just prior to the disastrous attack on the American consulate in Benghazi. Well, the Defense Intelligence Agency also predicted that supporting these groups would lead to an Islamic State in eastern Syria and would destabilize the government in Iraq. The DIA document, which is almost prophetic, said creating such a group could lead to, and I quote, "the ideal atmosphere for al-Qaeda in Iraq to return to its old pockets in Mosul and Ramadi." Now, this is almost prophetic, I should say. Al-Qaeda in Iraq became the Islamic State in Iraq, which then became the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, ISIS. And ISIS conquered Mosul last summer and retook Ramadi last week. So the coalition that's fighting ISIS today created the monster in 2012. And as we just marked Memorial Day of 2015, a day to remember soldiers who've fallen in the line of duty, we have to ask, what was the point of invading Iraq in the first place? Why are Western governments so bent on checking the power of Shia Islam, the government in Syria, the government in Iran, that we've been willing to sacrifice the oldest Christian populations on earth in pursuit of this goal? It's estimated that the communities in Syria and Iraq, that over 1.5 million Christians have fled or been killed since we invaded Iraq in 2003. In Iraq, less than a third of the Christian population remains from the days of Saddam Hussein. And I have to point out that this situation did not suddenly erupt on the watch of Barack Obama. Attacks on Christians in Iraq began in 2004, less than a year after the fall of Saddam Hussein. The media just didn't notice until 2014. One reporter put it like this: for Iraqi Christians, the last few months have simply been the culmination of 11 years of hell. And again, I have to ask, what do we tell the young men and women who volunteered to serve for what they believed was a noble cause, some who were gravely injured in their service in that part of the world? Young men and women who've endured their own private hells when they ask whether their sacrifice was worthwhile. It makes no sense. And especially puzzling as we look at this confluence of events that's leading to prophetic events, not necessarily prophesied in the Bible, but prophecies from other streams of thought. For example, the Islamic State, which believes that a conflict is coming that has been prophesied between the forces of Islam and the forces of the Cross at the small town of Dabiq, north of Aleppo in Syria, a conflict that will prompt the return of the Mahdi. While the Islamic State has been issuing threats against the forces of Rome and against Rome itself, at a time when the prophecy of the popes suggest that Pope Francis may be the last in the line. We'll keep watch. Meanwhile, ISIS moves closer to Israel. The group has attacked Syrian rebel forces holding the Golan Heights, which is the border area between Israel and Syria, or at least the Syrian side of the Golan Heights. Their attacks have been thrown back by the Free Syrian Army and the Nusra Front, which is an al-Qaeda-linked group, Sunni groups that hold about 90% of that border alongside Israel. Now, the former head of the Israeli military intelligence says that the fact that the Syrian groups haven't tried to cross the border into Israel or launch attacks themselves into Israel shows that they understand who their real enemy is. And it's not Israel. He may be right about that. The head of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, said Saturday that his group faces an existential crisis because of the Islamic State. Hezbollah has reportedly lost over 1,000 fighters and had 4 times that many injured during 4 years of fighting alongside the Syrian army in that nation's civil war. Debka File, the intelligence website based out of Tel Aviv, says there isn't a single competent army in the heartland of the Middle East, which they describe as their area from the Jordan to the Tigris rivers and from Ramadi in Iraq to Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. Not a single competent military force that can stand up to the Islamic State. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Israel watch and worry. More wars and rumors thereof. Russia has launched a surprise Air Force drill just as NATO forces begin a training exercise in the Arctic. These Russian maneuvers are huge. Over 250 aircraft, 12,000 personnel involved in what they describe as a surprise inspection to check combat readiness. Paranormal Files. A nature photographer in the Netherlands caught this image of a green jellyfish-shaped UFO. Harry Clipperton took the picture. He thought it was lightning in the image, which he caught on May 19th. It's similar to this photo from Norway in 2010. Now, my first thought was whether this had any link to the 2009 Norway spiral anomaly you see on the screen here. Possibly not. The official explanation of the Norway spiral was that a Russian missile test went bad and turned into a fireworks display for people in Norway and Sweden. Tonight we begin a new series of interviews with Steve Quayle on Skywatch TV. Tom Horn serves as host for Skywatch TV, which airs tonight on the Christian Television Network at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. That's UTC-5. The Christian Television Network airs on the Dish Network, channel 267, DirecTV, channel 376, the Glory Star satellite, channel 117, and you can also watch it stream live via the internet at the Christian Television Network's website, ctnonline.com. Now, if you can't watch it live, you can always catch it in the archives. We will have it posted to skywatchtv.com later this week, but it'll be available in our Roku channel within a matter of, well, by tomorrow morning. And if you haven't added it to your account yet, even though it's still technically considered a private channel, we have instructions on how you can add the Skywatch TV Roku channel to your account at skywatchtv.com/Roku. We appreciate your feedback here. You can comment on these and many other stories that we post every day to our Facebook page, facebook.com/SkywatchTV, or send me an email, dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. And we thank you for watching. As we keep watch, I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is Skywatch TV.